I took the job because the rent on my studio apartment had doubled overnight, and my girlfriend, Amanda, decided she needed space right around the same time. Space, apparently, meant moving to a friend's couch in another county and refusing to take my calls. So when I saw the Craigslist post for an overnight stalker at a Supercenter off the interstate, I applied before I even finished my third cup of instant coffee. The pay was minimum wage, plus 15 cents an hour for the graveyard shift differential. In a city where a used Honda Civic cost more than 3 months of groceries, I wasn't going to turn down an extra $1.50 an hour. My manager's name was Teresa. She was in her late 50s, wore her silver hair in a severe bun, and carried a clipboard like a weapon. She met me behind the store on my first night, the air thick with the smell of wet asphalt and diesel fumes. "You're on the floor," she said, handing me a faded blue vest that smelled like mildew and lavender detergent. "Aisle 42 to 90. You see low stock, you report it. You see spills, you catch the manager, you talk to the night drivers, you walk. You understand me, Aaron?" I nodded, tugging the vest over my shirt. It was too big in the shoulders. "Crystal, what am I stocking?" "Whatever the system says you're stocking. The scanners will tell you where to put it. Just keep the walkways clear and don't let the day crew catch you sleeping on the job. They'll have your hide." She turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Aaron, if you hear the delivery bay doors open between the hours of 2 and 3 in the morning, don't go back there. Management handles the high-value inventory. You stick to the floor." "I'm not a kid, Teresa." She gave me a look that felt like it could peel paint. "Good, because I can't afford to lose you before you're even paid. Clock in. The system will tell you where to go." "Terry's a hard ass," James said on my third night, leaning against a cart of shopping bags while I restocked paper towels, "but she's honest. Don't cross her on the loading dock, ever." "I'm not planning to," I said, pulling a box of dish sponges from a larger carton, just trying to keep my head down and pay for rent. "Same as always, right?" He exhaled a thin plume of smoke that hung in the cold air conditioning vent. "You just wait. 3 months in, you'll start noticing things. The little things, the way the lights flicker in aisle 66, the way the security cameras skip frames, the way the stockroom guys don't talk about what comes in after midnight." I laughed, but it didn't reach my chest. "What's that supposed to mean, James?" He just smirked, tapped the side of his nose, and walked off toward the break room. I told myself it was just night shift paranoia. The human brain hates empty space and predictable routines. It fills in the blanks with monsters. I kept stalking, I kept walking. I kept telling Amanda I was fine, that I didn't need her, that I was getting through it. Then came the deliveries. It started on a Thursday. I was in the electronics department aligning HDMI cables when the overhead intercom crackled to life. It wasn't a voice, just a low electrical whine, like a transformer about to blow. Then came the sound of the bay doors rolling up. I've never been a superstitious guy, but there's a specific kind of quiet that falls over a place when it's completely alone. No cars on the interstate, no distant sirens, just the low thrum of the HVAC system and the heavy rhythmic thud of something being dragged across concrete. I should have ignored it. Teresa's warning echoed in my head, but I found myself walking toward the service elevator anyway. The loading dock was a cavern of shadows and shadows. The fluorescent tubes overhead were mostly burned out, leaving pools of sickly yellow light that did nothing to push back the dark. And there in the center of the bay sat a matte black cargo van with no markings, no company logo, not even a license plate. The engine was off, the doors were open. Standing beside it was a man. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a heavy canvas jacket despite the mild weather, and a faded newsboy cap pulled low over his eyes. He was unloading long, narrow boxes, stacking them against the wall with meticulous care. They were light, but when he set them down, they made a heavy wooden thunk that seemed to vibrate through the soles of my shoes. "Evening," I said, my voice echoing too loudly in the vast space. The man didn't jump. He just kept stacking. "You're the new stalker." It wasn't a question. "Yeah, Aaron, you must be Matlock." At the sound of my own voice, even I flinched. The man finally turned. His face was all planes and shadows, pale in the dim light, with a mouth like a straight line. He didn't smile. "I don't know what you've been told, Aaron, but you don't work this late, and you certainly don't clock out." I was just grabbing a coffee from the break room. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded once. Good, keep it that way. Sign here. He tossed me a clipboard and a pen. The pen clicked. The sound was obscenely loud. I looked down at the clipboard. It was a delivery manifest, but the handwriting was too neat, too precise. No product codes, no quantities, just a series of names, dates, and a single word repeated down the left margin: acquired. "What is this?" I asked, handing it back. "Your signature, Aaron. It's nothing." I signed my name. My hand was shaking. He took the clipboard, turned, and walked back to the van. The doors swung shut with a heavy final sound. I watched as the van pulled out of the bay, its tires barely even whispering against the wet concrete. I stood there for 10 minutes, maybe 20, until the cold seeped through my shoes and I realized I was still holding the coffee cup I didn't remember filling. I never told Teresa. I told myself it was because I didn't want to sound like a nervous wreck, or because I didn't want to lose the job, or because the way Matlock looked at me felt like I was already in trouble. I went back to stocking paper towels and protein bars. I let Amanda block my number. I drank bad coffee and pretended the hum of the freezers was normal. But the deliveries kept coming. Every night, right around 2 in the morning, the bay doors would roll up, the same heavy thud, same matte black van, same man in the cap, and every night I'd find a stack of those same long, flat boxes waiting for me in aisle 78, with a note taped to the side. Put away, priority. I almost didn't. I really did try, but the third week I saw James on the phone behind the auto parts section, his voice hushed but urgent. "Yeah, Terry's got the new guy on a short leash. Thinks he's clever, doesn't ask questions." "Not yet. I got him." "Don't worry, Matlock. He'll fit right in." My blood went cold. I dropped behind a display of motor oil and waited until his call ended. When he turned, he saw me. He didn't even blink. "Evening, Aaron," he said, taking a drag of his cigarette. "You looking a little peaky. You sleeping okay at night?" "Yeah," I managed. "Just tired. Long night." "Tell me about it," he said, flicking ash into a crushed coffee cup. "You should see the loading dock sometime. Real educational, real boring. You should get some rest, man." I walked away. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely swipe my badge at the front door that morning. I sat in my car in the employee lot, staring at the steering wheel, and tried to breathe. It wasn't until the sun was fully up and the day shift was rolling in that I finally pulled out my phone and dialed Amanda's number. It went straight to voicemail, of course. "You know what the worst part is," I said to the empty car. "I don't even know what I did to deserve this." But I knew exactly what I did. I'd stopped asking questions, I'd stopped caring, and somewhere between the student loans I couldn't pay, and the rent I couldn't cover, and the quiet, suffocating weight of my own compromises, I'd become exactly the kind of person who looks the other way. The next night I decided to follow him. It was just past 2:30 a.m. when the bay doors rolled up. I was hidden in the shadows of aisle 88, where the store aisles met the back storage corridor. The air was thick with the smell of cardboard and industrial cleaner. I heard the engine idle, the heavy thud of the van backing up, the metallic screech of the doors sliding open, and then came the sound of boxes being dragged. Thump, scrape, thump, scrape. I waited until the coast was clear, then slipped out into the main warehouse. Teresa's office was dark, but the security monitor bank was still on, casting a pale blue glow across the concrete floor. I watched as Matlock loaded the boxes into the back of the van. He moved with a strange mechanical precision, like a man who'd done this 1,000 times. He never looked up, never rushed. I waited until he got in the driver's seat, then I slipped out the side exit into the loading dock lot. The rain had started again, a fine, needle-sharp drizzle that soaked through my jacket in seconds. I got in my beat-up Corolla, kept the engine running, and watched his taillights cut through the rain. I pulled out behind him, leaving the main lot, and fell into the dark. He didn't use his turn signal, he didn't slow down, he just turned off the interstate, took the old Milltown exit, and drove straight into the industrial park on the edge of town. The kind of place where the streetlights are broken and the warehouses sit empty like rotting teeth. He parked in front of a condemned textile factory, its brick facade sagging, its windows boarded up with plywood that had long since begun to rot. I killed the engine and sat there, listening to the rain drum against the roof. My phone buzzed in the cup holder, a text from Amanda. "I saw your mom on Facebook, are you okay?" I typed back. "Fine, just working late, talk tomorrow." I didn't wait for a reply. I got out into the rain and crept toward the factory. The back door was propped open with a cinder block. I pushed it open with my shoe and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Wet drywall, mildew, and underneath it, something sweet and coppery, like old pennies and spoiled milk. I followed the sound of voices. "Don't have to be like this, David," a woman was saying. Her voice was muffled, but I recognized the tremor in it. It was Amanda's friend Chloe. I'd met her once at a birthday party. She was crying. "He'll go to the police. He already has the manifests. I saw them on his desk." David, James's real name was David. There was a long pause, then the sound of a match striking, the flare of a flame. "Your friend Amanda was always too curious for her own good," David said, his voice calm, almost bored. "She asked too many questions about the inventory logs, about where the product was actually going, so now she's just another missing person case. Case closed. Tragic. Unfortunate." "You're insane," Chloe whispered. "You're actually insane?" "I'm a businessman," he corrected. "There's a difference. Now be a good girl and get in the box. It'll only hurt for a minute, maybe two, but you're going to be with your friend, and that's more than I can say for the ones who talk." I didn't think, I just moved. I burst into the room just as he raised a heavy wrench. Chloe screamed. I tackled him around the waist, driving him into the concrete floor. The wrench clattered away. We hit the ground hard, the air exploding from my lungs. He was bigger than me, stronger. He drove a fist into my ribs. I heard something crack. I screamed and head-butted him right in the nose. There was a sickening crunch, and he howled, going still. I scrambled back, gasping, and dragged Chloe toward the door. We didn't stop running until we were 3 blocks away, huddled behind a dumpster, shaking so hard our teeth chattered. When we finally looked back, the warehouse was dark. Silent. Only the rain answered. We called the police from a gas station payphone. They found the boxes. All 47 of them. They found the manifests. They found the ledger in David's car. Teresa was waiting for me at the hospital, her face pale, her usual armor cracked wide open. "They've been doing it for years," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The supply chain, the fake vendors, the inventory that never made it to the shelves. I should have reported it. I should have walked away when I found out, but the rent on my mom's place was due. What was I supposed to do? Let her starve?" "You should have told someone," I said, my ribs aching with every breath. "You could have gone to the police." "I did," she said, laughing bitterly, "until they started finding bodies in my garage. I learned my lesson, Aaron. You don't cross the loading dock. You just keep your head down and stock the shelves." The trial was a blur of gray suits and hushed tones. The evidence was irrefutable. The ledger, the manifests, the security footage from the store's security system, which I'd somehow remembered to check, though I didn't tell them that. The recovered phones, James or David, went to life without parole. Teresa cut a deal in exchange for testifying against the higher-ups. The cargo van was never seen again. The boxes were never fully accounted for. Some said they were buried in the desert. Some said they were burned. Some said they were still out there waiting to be picked up. I never worked in retail again. I moved across town, got a job stocking shelves at a hardware store in a strip mall near the airport. The pay was better, the hours were worse, but it was quiet enough to sleep through. I still get the occasional nightmare. Usually it's just the sound of the bay doors rolling up, or the heavy wooden thud of a box hitting the concrete. Sometimes I wake up drenched in sweat, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'm still running, or if I'm just waiting for the van to pull up to my apartment complex. Last week I got a package, no return address, just my name, typed in perfect block letters, and a single sheet of paper inside the cardboard. No note, just a list of names. Dozens of them, scrawled in blue ink, and at the very bottom, in fresh dark ink, was a new one, my name, with a single word written next to it. Observed. I burned the paper. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, a cruel joke from someone with too much time and a broken printer. But this morning I came home from work to find my door unlocked. I don't live alone, I live alone. Or at least, I did. The apartment was exactly as I left it, except for one thing. On my kitchen table, sitting perfectly straight in the center, was a long, flat cardboard box. It was sealed with black tape, and on the front, in the same neat, precise handwriting from the loading dock manifest, were my name and my address. I haven't slept in 3 days. I keep the lights on, I keep the back door locked, I keep my phone within arm's reach. But I know the truth now. You don't just work the night shift, Aaron. You become part of it. You just don't realize it until the bay doors roll up and you're the one who has to sign the clipboard. I'm writing this from my car in the grocery store parking lot. I can see my building from here. The third floor window is dark. I haven't gone up, not yet, but I know it's only a matter of time before the matte black van turns the corner. I know it's already here. I can smell it through the cracked window, wet asphalt, diesel fumes, and underneath it, something sweet and coppery. I'm not running. I'm just going to go inside. I need to see if the box is empty.